And we're live for webinar number 5. I want to welcome Rute. I want to welcome everyone on this webinar. Tracy is joining us. That's great. Everybody else is joining us. Welcome. I hope we all had a lovely week and an inspiring week, and that we all worked on our vocabulary. If we didn't, that's also fine. This webinar, we are going to work on our stories, and I have shared some inspiration in the Facebook group earlier this week. Most of you have seen it, which I'm very glad about, because I have fallen in love with Lisa Nichols. And I think we go into more of her stuff like in the upcoming weeks. But for now, I have selected a video that is going to introduce this webinar. So I would love to pull up that little video first and then share my screen so we can all enjoy that little video again. Is that okay by everyone? Thumbs up?
That's fine.
Okay, I will share my screen right now.
Every single thing you touch is impacted by your story. As an attorney, as a teacher, as an architect, there's not one line of business that you can be in that a story, and a great story, won't elevate your outcome. Every single line of business, every single line of service that you're connected to will be impacted and ideally elevated by the level in which you're willing to tell and share your story. So let me give you some guidelines, some parameters, what I like to call the bumper rails, as if you're going bowling. You know, when I go bowling, I ask them to put the little bumper rails down so I can my ball can get down the lane. So let me set up some bumper rails for you so that you understand what makes a great story. So one is the willingness to take risk. Most people, Vishen, when they're telling a story, they don't want to take a risk. So the story has its limits on how high it'll go or how deep it'll go. And when you have that, then you're really not at that part that's going to touch my soul. So being willing to take a risk, being clear and concise with your stories. A great story is a show me story, not a tell me story. Now, this is the distinction that's the game changer for most. Most people are telling a story. They say, so let me just share with you a little bit of my story, and I'll tell you and then I'll show you. So as I was building my life, there was a time in my life that was very...
Sorry, I need to ask people, are you watching that video too? Because like, are you? Okay, sorry for pressing pause then. I just need to check.
It was very challenging, true story. Very difficult, very challenging, very uncomfortable. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of hope, and things just looked dismal. At some point, I had to turn my life around. At some point, I made the decision that life had to get better. I'm telling you that. It's decent. You learn about me. Then if I were to show you that story, I would say 6 days a week, I had to eat beanies and weenies. I had to find money in the crevices and the corners of my couch so that I can get my son milk. There were times when my heart would beat fast just at, what am I going to have tomorrow? At some point, I got sick and tired of my own story. Is this going to be my future? No, I can't handle it. Notice the difference in that second story.
I completely see that.
I just painted a picture. Same story. Mm-hmm. Now, the second one, when you show a story, it's going to require more of you. It's going to require you to find the colors. What were you thinking? What were you experiencing? What was going on in your head? Instead of telling me you look for money, turn and point. Now, this is anywhere. This is anywhere you are doing anything. I promise you, you become a great storyteller and you will captivate your audience no matter what you're doing. I've captivated investors. I've captivated educators because I was willing to show the story. I call it unpacking the story, Vishen. Being willing to tell me, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were you seeing? Think about a story as an oral movie. And so in an oral movie, think when you're looking at a movie, the first thing they do is they identify what state of time it is. Is it futuristic? Is it in the now? Was it back in the day? You notice that based on what people are wearing, how they're talking. So paint that picture for me. Take me to that environment. Set the backdrop up for me. Show me what you're going through. Instead of saying I was angry, You can tell me you were angry. But when you say the hair on the back of my neck was standing up, I felt the fumes exiting my nose. I thought that my chest was going to pop and I was going to say something that I'd regret forever. Ooh, you just showed me you were angry. Take that extra time to unpack it. Why will most people not do that? Because it requires a level of vulnerability that we're not willing to share. Every single
Okay, so that was the movie that I showed this week, and I really wanted to show again in the video. And before we go into Isabella, who is on the hot seat this week, and we go into the pain points of her audience and see how she shares her story and how it is for her audience. And then Ruud also handed in his video in the Facebook group, for which I want to acknowledge Ruud, because that was a really great story and you were very vulnerable in that video. So we're going to go over your story as well. First, I want to ask some people, what was your takeaway of this video? Whether you saw it like earlier this week or just now, what was the takeaway? What did you feel? What kind of thoughts did it provoke within you? Yes, Claudia.
This is exactly showing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is exactly showing the point where I am always a bit afraid of, because if you want to explain something, this is where the adjectives and everything comes in. This is that you really have to be clear about upfront, because in the moment when you want to take or make a video and you want to describe that's what's really making it lively. That's amazing. I mean, when I saw it, when you posted it, I really think it's very, very, very interesting and important for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. Someone else who has anything to say? I see Raymond and Yolanda. Yolanda, ladies first.
I was very impressed. I saw where I didn't. I tell my story and not I don't show my story. And I started immediately with my pain point, described all about it. And then I thought, how can I come to the picture? So I started how it felt. And from that, I started to paint the picture, but it's not a very clear picture yet. So it's I'm progressing, but it's a very deep process of discover my pain point much further. So it's an impressive little video.
Yeah, I definitely agree. When I thought of this and wanted to apply it to myself, I also found some gaps in my story. What is my story? Like, I had to second guess myself and go to the drawing board, and I still need to finish it.
I only had a little layer of my story, and now it's much deeper. Yes.
I feel that throughout my life, I have different reasons as to why I want to build a business. And there's not, I don't know, maybe I should make videos for each of these little stories, or maybe I should think maybe I should connect the dots better and then find my own story and see how the woman that I have become, how that is, why that is. And you know, put that in the story itself. I don't know. I had to do some work myself as well.
What I hear more is that you every time you pick a piece of your pain point and work with that. So maybe you don't have to have it all in one in one ad or in one story.
I was thinking the same when I was writing down my pain points. I have different parts of me that really want to be in this online business for different reasons, because there's different dreams I have as well. So maybe for the dream I have, there is a reason for this online business. So there's different ways you can approach this. And it's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So fine. Sorry.
Very helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm done.
Raymond.
Yeah, well, this was the first time I saw this video, so yeah, it really impressed me that by showing you the story, it's actually the same senses we are using for visualization. So for me, connecting those two dots, it felt really great in order to, be on this webinar as well. So yeah, I don't know. I was just connecting those two dots, and I was really like, wow, that's just what I wanted to hear.
Great, awesome. It also made me feel like it changed the whole script writing and the storytelling from being something external and difficult and a skill I don't have into it's my story that I can share. So in my head, it shifted from being something out there, from something that's within me that I can share, and I can tap into whatever is within me and create a story of that, instead of you need to, well, of course you need to have a hook, and you need to have, there is an art to script writing. I'm not saying there isn't, but if you have your story clear in your head, it is much easier to then put it into the format of script writing. You don't have to seek for something that isn't there or you find very difficult. Does that make sense? Do more people relate to this?
Well, I want to add something as well. I'm now more open-minded to my own feelings as well, because this is the story how I can express myself. Yeah, and now I'm more aware of my feelings, of how I'm feeling and what I can share. So, yeah.
And that it's enough.
Yeah.
It is enough. Yes, Tracy.
So, yes, I love the conversation in that you're getting it. And so even thinking about, because it does begin with us, right? So when you are thinking about why you came into the SFM and what were your pain points, I mean, these are things too for you for journaling, whether in your stuff, as somebody had mentioned about the vocabulary, do it in your own language. Do it in your own language. Get that feeling about what it was on those pain points, remembering those moments where you really were, like how Ruud was saying, like, I'm sick to my stomach, like I'm sitting there listening, getting even more into what was going on that made him sick to the stomach, listening to so-and-so say this when he knows we can't deliver that, sitting there in front of them, just, basically lying, and how that's turning your stomach, using all the words that in your own language to just get that out on paper. And then you can go find the vocabulary, because then that's where, we can be here to help you, fine tune that stuff to make sure it's coming out in the other language the same way. But first, if you have to touch into yourself. That's the one thing that's been coming out with going through this course, is really getting in touch with you, because you cannot relate to somebody else if you're not being authentic with yourself first. So it's really, as someone mentioned, a self-discovery, but even further into what is going on in me, what propelled me, what made me go and finally said I had enough. So there's going to be a lot of introspection, which is looking inside of yourself, to find that, because that's what's going to help, bring it out, the story, when people can connect to you, because then they hear and they feel your story.
It's also going to help in finding the words to express yourself in English. I realize that this is a webinar for non-native English speakers, and we're all trying to upgrade our own list of vocabulary so that we can use it. But you need to do this inner work before you can focus on what kind of English words belong to my story. That's why there is no way I can provide everybody with a list of vocabulary and there you have your story. There's no way. It has to be the other way around. And that's why this webinar is so important. If you realize this, then you can go and look for the English words. And if you don't know the English words or the expressions, that's what the Facebook group is for. And these webinars are for, that we can discuss it together, that we can come up with those words so we can help you progress. on that note, I want to share something before we go into Isabellas, because I know she is short in time. One quick note, and that is the following thing. And because I watched some more stuff from Lisa, and I absolutely love it. And I think, where is it? Oh, I wanted to pull up a document that I just created, but I seem to fail at this massively at the moment, which is a shame because, well, I will have to put it in the Facebook group because I don't know it by heart. That's a real shame. Oh, here it is. Yes, found it. So what Lisa, this woman from the video, says what makes a great story is the following, and I will put this in the Facebook group after the webinar. What makes a great story is the willingness to take risk. If you don't take a risk, it has its limits as to how high it will go or how deep your story will go. And if you have those limits, you're missing out on the parts that is going to touch other people's souls. I think that's a great notion. Next, what makes a great story is to be clear and concise with your story. And here she goes in the part that says, a great story is a show me story rather than a tell me story. And that is a real game changer for people. You need to paint the picture for people. And when you show a story, it's going to require more of you. It's going to require you to find the colors, to express what you were thinking. What were you experiencing? What were you seeing in that moment of time? What was going through your head? So be generous with your story. Get it out of your belly and gift it to us, because it's exactly what we need. If you realize that your story doesn't even belong to you because there is someone somewhere in the corner trying to see their own greatness, and that your story will shine a light in that corner so that they see their own skin and their own humanity, their own brilliance from your story. When you realize that your story and its resilience, the perseverance, the conviction, the determination, the stand up and run, or to sit down and catch your breath for a minute and then get back up, that your story is going to inspire someone else to run, to soar, to release that unhealthy relationship, to stand inside their greatness, to ask for forgiveness, or to provide someone else for forgiveness, or to provide that your story belongs less to you than it does to those of us who will be inspired by it. When you get that, the hard work is not to get your story out. I wanted to read that out loud because I think that's beautiful. And I will put this in the Facebook group as well. So on social media, on YouTube, you can find more of Lisa Nichols. And I will leave her name right now in the Lisa Nichols. That's the woman that I fall in love with this week. I want to give the floor to Isabella because she was so brave to hand in the pain points of her audience. And Isabella, how long do you still have left?
I can do about 20 minutes.
Okay, great. So Isabella's story and then Ruth's story, and then see how much more of Lisa we can share in this webinar. Or what I want to do is go over Isabella's story and then see what we feel the pain points are, and then the implications of the pain points are. So would you be okay with me screen sharing and then pulling your pain points up, Isabella?
Sure. I copied it in from my Word document, so maybe I should share my screen. Is
that possible? Because is that possible? Yeah, sure, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah. And then walk us through it first, and then we'll go over it more systematically.
Oh, it says host disabled participation screen sharing.
Oh, so how do I do this?
Or take the one that I sent you. It's fine.
Yeah. So I can screen share, but I don't know. Does it say that I can allow you to screen share?
Yes, Kai, you have to promote her to host.
Oh, how do I do that then?
I don't know. I think it's somewhere when you hover or hover over Isabella's pane. I think you can
make host.
Hey, that's what I mean.
Awesome, Ruud. Okay, Isabella, your host.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Oh, but that's the wrong one now. Shoot.
Oh, that's
Hold
fine.
on. Sorry.
Tunnel visions are also very important.
Well, it's this one. Okay, hold on.
Hey, Dennis. Hey, Inna. Nice of you to join. Lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are.
Here we are.
So actually, I did have a call with Alex Mail this week, and he told me again to go back into my pain points because my ad was just too general. And like you just said about, you know, how to, or what Lisa Nichols said in her video, how to paint the picture and how to kind of really talk into these pain points. I realized I was more, you know, just talking on not taking a risk pretty much. So that's why I went back and did some more work on my pain points. So, and I just went, with my own story, where I came from and how I came pretty much to the SFM, or just, you know, realizing to kind of get out of my own way. So the first one is feeling stuck at work and life. I just thought, you know, that's just how it is, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of my life, right? I was in this job for 10 years, and even though I made good money and everything, I did not even see. That's why tunnel vision, and that's what I also called my ad. I had tunnel vision. I did not even see the possibilities. And when I hit on the ad of the SFM, I don't even remember when or how I did it, and then I got the emails. I was like, wow, I could do that, yay! So, and then, feeling stuck, and there's no way out. So that's what I thought. I was never the best in school, so I thought, you know, that's just how it's going to be, and just playing small, not seeing the possibilities, just staying in this, kind of mundane environment of, I would like to, but I'm scared kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And just, I see now I have like multiple times the same stuff here. But what I also realized writing this down, it all comes down to the same thing. Playing small, not being worthy, and all these great thoughts.
So the consequence of feeling stuck in work and life is that you felt like there was no way out, because
exactly.
So the difference is that you can say, I was stuck in life. Okay, fine. But you can also say, I didn't see any opportunity or possibility. I wasn't even aware that there was something out there. I didn't like changes. That's a big one. Because everybody knows change is inevitable, but if you notice to yourself you don't like the changes, it is obvious that you're stuck, because that's your comfort zone. So those are the feelings and the emotions and the experiences that are the consequence, the implication of the pain point that is feeling stuck. And not playing full out because,
And also because I've always worked for somebody else since I've been 16, I did not think, what could I do, right? So even that till now, I'm kind of, I have to get myself out of my head to not think that I cannot do it, or I can be my own boss. That's still very, sometimes difficult to handle, I would say.
Is it like, I do see that these are all consequences and implications, but I feel that some of them could be a pain point themselves that you can then break down even more specific.
Even further.
Yeah. For example, if you say, I don't see the opportunity, the consequence of that is that you feel desperate, that you feel you've arrived at the end of your growth, that you literally feel your body absorb the energy and food, and therefore maybe you're expanding as a human being because you're not making sure that energy flows anymore. And maybe you don't feel like working out, even though you know that that's important. You need to keep moving, but you don't see it because you don't see the possibilities.
Yeah.
Like on a smaller level, I don't know, does somebody else wants to say anything about this? No, that's also fine.
No, I was going to say too, there's that, because you were saying, that kind of feeling of being suffocated when you can't breathe, kind of thing, because...
Can't breathe, that's a good one.
Yeah, so there's suffocate, I'll add that one. Let me write that.
Yeah, suffocate, let's put that to the vocabulary list. I couldn't breathe, I didn't feel the energy flow, I wasn't energetic, I was tired because I wasn't generating my own energy anymore. I wasn't inspired, and because I wasn't inspired, my days were short. The only thing I did in a day was I went to work and I came back. I didn't feel that I could get out of the day the 24 hours that I was given every day.
Yeah, and again, putting yourself in there when you're just kind of even closing your eyes and thinking in your body, it's like, there's no room for growth. So I also don't feel like I get to express myself. There's no creativity. There's no
creativity.
It's, you're just going in, dragging in, do it, leave,
If we look at number 6, working for somebody else, because I wasn't even aware that there's anything else I could do, maybe that's the feeling that you got from that was that you're a robot or an ant, or a sheep. You're just doing what everybody else is telling you. You're living somebody else's life. There is this great quote that goes, if you're not building your dream, somebody will hire you to help them build their dream. Mm-hmm. I love this quote. So use this quote because people may have, seen it somewhere. If you're not building your dream, somebody else will hire you build their dream. And it's true. It's true. So working for somebody else made you feel like you put yourself on the back seat. You weren't driving. You weren't directing your own life. You weren't painting that picture. You were the observer. And you knew there was something in you worth more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I probably have to go back and just look at those, and probably some are actual pain points, and I have to go even deeper than I thought I already did.
Why don't you make, this is an amazing start. Why don't you make the pain point is still feeling stuck. It's a very important pain point. I'll do it from this side. And then you have these implications that you have right now. But then you have even bigger spokes, even more spokes coming out of those implications. You can go as deep as you want to.
Yeah.
But I just noticed that a couple could be a pain point for themselves. I'm missing I'm missing a bit of I saw, I smelled, I experienced, I those kind of things. From this, I can't see what your life looked like. I can't see how you had bags below your eyes when you enter the car in the morning to go to your work. From this, I cannot see how uninspired your dinners were, because you were completely tired and not inspired to make your own yourself a lovely, healthy dinner. Yeah. So those are the things that you weren't doing. So try to go into that level.
So actions that I wasn't taking.
For example, yes. So like, remember what Lisa just said in her video. She had to look into the couch to see if there were some dimes left that she could buy milk for her son with the next day. Okay? That's very specific. Who else in your life, Isabella, were you not able to give a present, a hug, a phone call because of your own energy not being in place?
Yeah.
You needed all your energy that you had left because you left everything at your job for yourself and you weren't able to give. You were pouring from an empty glass.
True. Yeah, great. Thank you.
So if I can jump into another thing, I had a call with Todd Fox, because that's who brought me in. And he was sharing, because I was talking to him about these pain points and such, and asking him what he had got, because he was on the 10 for 10 there. And so he was even saying so if you pick one of these pain points and you've got that so deep, going back, and how it goes, right? So of that one where you may have 10 or 12, so in your video, maybe taking just 3 or 4 of them, on your landing page, mentioning a couple more, on your thank you page, or in a blog, or if you're going to send them something, take a couple more, so that there's that consistency and you're driving home that point, so that it's just building, and it's like, oh my God, yes, how did they know that? Oh my God, yes, that too. And so you're just bringing them along on what they already know. One of the things too that was pointed out that was very powerful as well, we have all of our objections, right, of all the things, because it comes down to fear, right? It's fear of the unknown and getting out of our bubble. One of the things we have to also really explain and hit on is, while there's that fear of doing something different, what is the consequence of doing absolutely nothing? So now look at your pain points. And Isabella, if you're not going to change any of these things, then what are the consequences of that?
That's a good question.
What is going to happen? Yeah, what is going to happen to you as a person? Because that's where people that's where people, start addictions and stuff like that. That's when, relationships fall apart. That's when you're not enthused about your job and you start getting written up and all this other stuff starts happening. Everything starts falling apart little by little, from your health to your mental health to your relationships and everything. So in a way, that's the bigger fear if you do absolutely nothing. And that's something else that we have to also, kind of put that fire under the ass to say, okay, fine, that scares you, but what if you do nothing? Then what's that going to look like for you?
Yeah. So going on to the next pain point, worthiness, keeping small, staying small. Yeah, that's a very relatable one, I feel. This is very strong and many people will feel the same. So you have doesn't seem attempt to improve situation because doesn't think to be worthy. Yes. Always agree with everybody. I love this example. Always agreeing is definitely a way for you to put yourself on the back seat, how you're not driving. Maybe you have a story about that.
Yeah. Well, the thing I want to say is that I always wanted to be liked by everybody. I was the youngest in our family, and I knew that parents already had so much.
I need to know that you're the youngest in your family, and that's the reason why you want to be liked by everyone and you agree with everyone, because you didn't feel worthy because you were the youngest of your family. Do you know how many other people are the youngest in their families?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yes, go for it.
That's called a runt. So I'll put that in there. When you're the runt, the R-U-N-T, they're the last one of the litter.
In Dutch, we would say you're the Benjamin of the family. Little Benjamin. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and in German, in Austria, at least we say Nesthäkchen. Claudia or somebody could, or Frank could maybe say another word if you know.
why don't you, in your story, because I've been thinking about this, in your ad, use the German word and then translate it into English, because that German word is a part of you, because there is such a thing as getting lost in translation. So people who are non-native will be able to relate to that word. If you say whatever it is in German, I'll think of the word that I use, and automatically it becomes my story then even more. Do you know what I mean? So yes. I don't think there's something wrong with describing a situation in English and then say, in German we would say, or all my life I have been, and I come from Germany, and then that word, which means the last one in our family. And then everybody goes like, oh yeah, that's called this in my language. And then it automatically drives better home your story to other people. That wasn't correct English, but you get what I mean.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, Frank says, freaking brilliant advice, Jiska. Well, great. I'm happy. I'm happy it is of great value. No, but I've been thinking about this. If like, why choose between like a Dutch advert or a German advert, or oh, thanks, Holly, it was great English, good, or a solely English advert? Why not put in those words that are very difficult to translate? I had a call with Rosemary. Rosemary, are you here? Rosemary, are you here? Yes. I had a call with you, and you had a word that you wanted to describe, and there is no English word for it. What was the word in Swedish?
Medberoende.
And what does it mean?
It means that when you're married to someone with an addiction,
and
yes, and you are that person who's married to someone who has an addiction, and I just don't know what it's called in English. In Swedish, it's called to be medberoende. I don't. Sounds very easy when I say this, but it's like co-addicted.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very, you know. I don't know if anyone else.
I feel it would be very strong of you to point that word out, because it's such an important part of your story. And then Tracy says it's called codependent.
Codependent, yeah.
But codependent could also be someone who is, Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel codependent necessarily is specific.
It doesn't totally nail it. It doesn't nail it on the head. You'd have to go into, and this is where you have to more show your story than tell your story, because there can be even just a low grade codependent where but you know what, whenever you're codependent, there is an addiction there, because both of you are addicted on each other's behaviors. So and then you become enabling, they say, you know, because then even your behavior enables them to continue to do it. So you don't realize that you are now part of the problem, because you both are having this dance, you know, and until one person changes their dance steps, you're just going to keep dancing the same dance. So
that's right.
Yeah. Dance the same dance. I love that expression, Tracy. Would you do me a favor and write that down so we can share it? Dance the same dance. I love that. You are stuck, Isabella. You were stuck. You were dancing the same dance. I love that. Okay, thank you for sharing, Rosemary. And let's go back to, and thank you, Tracy, for adding on. Let's go back to Isabella's worthiness problem, which is actually everybody else's problem as well, as we just learned from Lisa.
And sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do have to go.
Okay.
But what I'm thinking is I'm going to work more on this list, and then if you don't mind, I post it in the group, and then everybody can maybe go in and look at them and take what they want and leave the rest, and make their own story, or like think of their own stories in their life. And, you know, a good thing that I've heard actually also from Lisa Nichols is, if you have this story, write bullet points of how you actually can describe them in detail. So, I don't know, first day of school and it happened this and this and this and that, and that's why it made me feel this way. I thought that's also powerful, because it makes you think beforehand how you can, you know, kind of put it into better words and describe it better.
Yeah, that was, oh, Isabella, you need to make me host again. That was a great reminder of Holly, because otherwise you're the host.
How
So
do I do that?
if you click on the 3 dots in your little, in your own face, if you then click.
Oh, okay. Okay, just did that.
You can. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that I have to go, but thank you so much, and you gave me great ideas already. A lot of value. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. We go into Ruth's story now, and then we'll continue the conversation. I have another thing to share from Lisa. She said she doesn't tell her stories because she's not a writer. She tells her stories. She doesn't tell them to herself. She talks to people. She starts a dialogue. What she even does, and this goes back to my love for interviews with someone else, where there's room for authenticity. I said it so many times already. So what Lisa says, she gives people a list of questions she wants them to ask her. Give other people a list of questions, 5 questions about the SFM, your story, your pain points, whatever, and then record your answers to those questions. And even speak with people on a call like this. Have a Zoom call. Bye, Isabella. Bye-bye. Have a Zoom call, invite someone for a Facebook Messenger call, whatever, a Skype call, and talk about your story, record it, listen back to yourself. Because, what was I sharing now? Shitty. Because, by the energy of those other person that you're talking to, like, of no way, you get the energy. You get energy and you go deeper into that point because you see that does something to people. That touches somebody's heart or soul or energy. And that's what you need to know. This is your market research. Okay? Do market research. Tell somebody else your story. See how they react to the different parts of your story. What is worth sharing in your 3-minute or 6-minute video? Test it out. Don't come up with the ideas yourself. They're shit ideas, your ideas. You need to see what your audience wants to hear from you. And there's so much you have to share, and there's so many years of experience in your life. Like for me, that's 29 years of stories. You can't tell everything. You need to know what your golden nuggets are by testing it out into the market. Okay. I'm getting very passionate about this topic. I love this topic. I am going to pull up Ruth's story. Here we go. So now I'm going to screen share. Are you ready for Ruth's story? Ruth, are you ready?
I'm afraid so, yes.
Okay, here we go. Let's do this.
In the last year of my job, I had to drag myself out of bed every morning. I got in my car and I was already stressed and frustrated. I don't want to go there anymore. Why am I doing this? And still I did, every day again. I remember a meeting at the customer, and during the meeting I got so upset because all of the lies that were told from my management to the customer that forced me to lie also because I knew better. And after the meeting, I went home, and in the car, I almost got sick. I literally cried my eyes out of frustration. I don't want to go there anymore. Still, I did. I didn't have the balls to do something about it. I felt terrible. I was unhappy, and I messed up a lot of things. I neglected my family. I was living in my own bubble where I refused to acknowledge my problem and do something about it. Until my health stopped me and said bye to my career.
I absolutely love this.
I can laugh about it now, looking back, but not at the time.
That was done brilliantly. So Tracy has some notes, which is awesome. First, I want a first reaction of this video.
From me?
From everybody else.
Oh, okay.
First reaction to this video.
This video is amazing.
Why is it amazing?
Because Ruud looks like he is living that moment.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
and what did that make you feel? Were you in that moment with him?
Yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for him. At the same time, I felt connected, and because we all go through the similar kind of things, and it felt so real because he looks like he's on the verge of crying. So the level of authenticity, you know, tears don't cry. I mean, tears don't lie.
Yeah, I saw that too. And maybe what I'm thinking of now is misery loves company. So that misery that you're sharing creates company with other people. I don't know if that's how I explain this best. Holly nods yes, so that's fine. But make use of that. Misery loves company. Normally that's like complete people who are complaining. They love to complain together, you know. And it takes some courage to walk away from people who gossip, complain, whatever, and not let it affect you. Okay. But in this case, if misery loves company, it means that your audience then can relate to that story, that misery. Any other emotional reactions from this video?
Yeah, I felt like this was the story of my life. I completely was like, yep, I've been there. I can definitely relate you, mate. I've done it. I've been there. So it was fantastic.
Thank you.
I love the bit where you said I was in the car crying. I was lying and I got sick. I cried my eyes out. That's an expression I love as well. I cried my eyes out. Dennis.
Yeah, it's really self-expressed. It's unscripted.
Yeah.
And when I've been practicing this 100% uncensored self-expression in my writing scripts, and it really works really well when you just start writing. And you write exactly, you don't choose your words or anything, and you see what comes out. Obviously, that's the first draft, but it comes out authentic. And the language that you use is authentic to you or me, and it will, you know, attract a similar kind of person. So
came out effortlessly.
Exactly. And it will come out more naturally in front of the camera without a script later on.
Yeah, this is what we covered last week in the webinar with Caroline there. You don't need the fancy words.
No, because you basically just recorded your thoughts in the moment. You didn't try to write something.
Enthusiasm is a universal language.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to have a high level of English vocabulary for that. Yeah. So thank you.
When people identify with Ruud, then they how do you say it? Like, wow, I really can relate, and he's so authentic. What is he doing about it?
I think Tracy has some great notes on that as well, because there were different parts that were better than others, even though overall it was a really good video. So Tracy, would you please, because Tracy is doing the course of Lisa Nichols as well as Isabella. So they are doing the course of Lisa Nichols. So all those videos I'm showing, and I'm falling in love with her at the moment, but she has a course. You can buy it for like, what was it, $250?
Yeah, but I mean, there might be something else in there. We're doing one where everybody's doing it. We all start at the same time. So there's like 3,000 of us actually worldwide who are starting all at the same time and going through it. So it's not a do it by yourself. It's you're going along with everyone. So I know they'll have another one because there's people in there who've done it in the past and are doing it again. If you always watch the master class, then you get a deep discount. So it was like $250 versus the full price of $500 or something.
Right.
But, to get back onto, so Ruud, yes, thank you. That was awesome. You got the concept. And again, I'm not I by no means am I any like you know, coach or anything. Again, just, you know, a little bit of a leader, because I'm only a little bit farther along doing this. So and we have to give feedback, and they critique our stuff too and tell us. So I'm just thinking of and using the stuff that I'm learning to bring to you. So it's always, I just want to make sure it's a criticism to constructive criticism, to build you up, not to tear down. Okay.
No
So
problem, be honest.
yeah. No. So in the beginning, you started with the showing, because you're saying like the dragging, you even used your, you know, your hands and stuff, and doing that, and talking about the frustrated.
And this
then,
one.
yeah, and yes, and then you started to go back into the telling the story when you were talking about the meeting. So in that sense, there were opportunities where you can paint the picture of the meeting of just, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this, right? Them saying whatever it is that you know is not true, or going into the story of what is it that you're listening to, you know,
or
again,
lying about.
Yeah, painting the picture. So, and then going into your feeling of your body, knowing, you know, also knowing you may have to be that person who has to then talk to that person later, who's going to ask you.
Maybe you had you felt your chest like pushing to your body because you knew you were lying.
Yeah, your throat, you know, your throat's getting choked up.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there, you know, you're, okay. And then when you were telling about getting sick in the car, that's another opportunity to show more than tell. I was so sick in the car. It was just like, you know, you can talk about it. If you were paralyzed in the car, you know, just kind of that feeling of being paralyzed. Like I have to go home.
Were you sweating? Were you getting cold? Or what? How was that sick feeling?
Yeah, what's going on in your mind too, that, you know, now I have to go home, you know, because this is the other thing. We all experience these things, and then we have to go home, right? So then we're trying to turn off that, and many times we drag it home, and it goes there, right?
Yeah,
and then there's the thought, you're at home, and then all you're thinking about is, I have to go there tomorrow, or I have to go there on Sunday, and then everything starts creeping in again about these anxious feelings and whatnot that you don't want to go.
Or you start questioning your own persona. Who are you? Are you a lying person? Like you had to disconnect yourself from the person that was in work, and it wasn't aligned with who you are, and you felt like two different people, and you couldn't do it anymore.
Okay. So so then you did start showing again when you were saying in the car, I don't want this, because you were talking aloud of what is going on in your head. So then you were showing again, you know, I don't want this, and then your thoughts of yourself, I don't have the balls to do this, you know, and so that again shows that showing, and because then that's when people are feeling, you know, when we do that negative self-talk to ourselves too, like, how am I supposed to go back? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I working here? And then you started talking again about the family and the health. And those are other situations too, where you can show more, you know, show those implications of how it affects your health, how it affects your family, you know, of what happens because of that. Then what expands and what happens when you go home, because people will identify with that as well, you know, because we've all been there and felt that. So it's more of the feelings, and that was just it. You were doing a good job of going there, but then go back to the telling. So it's just, and it is being vulnerable, because you're just having to really show and paint that picture of how you feel. So that means you have to feel it too in order to say it. You can't just write it off. You have to actually go there inside of you too. And a lot of times Lisa Nichols ends up crying because she's like so into what she's going. She starts getting totally emotional about it, you know? So good job though. I loved it. And you do have balls. Okay.
Thank you. I know now.
Okay. I think, because I want to be mindful of time, we are actually quite in time. There's 2 minutes left. I don't want to open up a completely new topic. Tracy, thank you so much for taking the effort and the time to really go into this, because you're in this course with Lisa Nichols, and you were willing to share all that you are learning, which is amazing, I think. I'm opening the chat box for now. Yeah, love it, Ruth. There's some love for you there. Oh, Claudia. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks very much. So is there any comments that people like to share? Catherine or Katrien, I know you tried, you didn't attempt to upload a video as well. I think something went wrong because it was only 6 seconds. If you want to upload your video this week, I would love to go over it and see if it's deep enough and etc. What do you think? I cannot hear you. I already unmuted you, but I cannot hear you. Well, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yeah, 2 thumbs up. Okay, that's great. Okay, then let's do that. Yeah, type it. That's fine. Any final comments to the topic of this webinar or the webinar as a whole, or not? I see another thumbs up. I think that's something positive. I feel if everybody does its homework and goes in their own stories and the pain points and everything, maybe watch something of Lisa and Nichols, I think this is a great bridge for next week go into mindset, because I bet that while writing your story, there are some things that are blocking you. The vulnerability won't come out itself, I think. So maybe go into mindset next week and vulnerability as a topic of this webinar. I think this webinar is a great stepping stone for that. So same time, Claudia, yes, it's 4 p.m. On that note, I am thinking of changing the time because I am moving to a different country where the sun is shining. So I would maybe love to enjoy that a little over the weekends. And I'm thinking of a time, yes, Barcelona. So I will put up a poll for everybody when the time is best. And I'll see with all the other webinars going on if we can pick a time that suits everybody best. But that's for the future. But yeah, for now, it's the same time next week. Thank you guys for this. This was, I'm all buzzing. Oh, wait, Katrien. The video is there, and I will make a second video version with a deeper work behind. Awesome. I will go into it. Then another comment. Tracy, I posted a vocabulary list in the Facebook group of the words covered today. Thank you. That's awesome. And then, that's it. Okay, guys, I think it's a wrap. Thank you so much for your contribution, your input, your bravery, and your stories and the pain points and all your energy that you brought to this webinar. Thank you so much. And I wish you a lovely, lovely weekend. Bye.